So anyway, I know some more people will be showing up here, so I won't go over everything yet. We have a few things to cover tonight. Again, we'll probably go for about an hour, but I don't have anything else going on tonight, so we can go for a bit longer if needed. I have two trains down below. We got our coal train, which we haven't run yet, and the intermodal train. I've been weathering quite a bit of stuff, and I have some stuff on the workbench. I've also sold some things, manifests that we have sitting up here. I'm actually going to filter these cars down into the yard or over to the industries on the other side. So we'll get to running some trains as well. But I know that Carl had asked if we could all take a look at doing a bit of scenery substructure down here. So I'm just getting organized right now. We have a glue gun right there. So that's heating up. And we're gonna cover this area over here in just a bit of paper. So let me just grab a couple things. I apologize, I'm not, oh, is it? Can you guys not hear anything? Someone let me know if you guys can you can hear. Okay, good deal. People are asking. All right, good deal. Okay, so anyway, let me turn around here. Sorry. Oh, really quick too. You guys probably saw this in the layout update that I just uploaded, but I'm working on a bit of scenery over here. I'm starting to work on the profile for our tunnel here. Obviously, then the two tracks diverge, so I'm gonna have to sort of execute a rock cut wedge in here, sort of like Tunnel 10 at Tehachapi. How there's now a second track outside of that tunnel, and then this will be a fun little winding road for cars. It comes out of the backdrop up there and then sort of does a one curve there, a second one at the end, and then it'll cross the tracks right here. And this will be pretty cool because we can get shots up here. Just some really cool photography opportunities, because on the real Crawford Hill you can actually in a few places watch trains along the upper or higher elevated areas and then look down on trains below. And if I step back here, you can see that even right here there's quite a bit of elevation difference between the bottom of the grade here and closer towards the top. So that'll be a cool little scene. Oh, thank you for reminding me too. This guy, I think there's a truck in here. Look at that. I knocked that off when I was doing my layout update, so I'm not going to put that back there. That's stupid. Anyway, but I was just trying to imagine what that would look like. I would have forgotten that and probably put paper over it, never to be found again. So anyway, really quick, also I got a couple cars for sale. Shameless plug here. These are both on eBay. They are they're auctions. So one's at like $60 right now, and this one I just did last night I think is a little better. It's sitting at about $20 right now, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested in having a couple of BNSF grain cars. I've also got these two here for sale. A Walther's mainline hopper, just really lightly weathered, but some pretty cool effects on the underside. And then a pretty heavily weathered BNSF beer car here, which is pretty sweet. So again, all on my eBay. If you check out the most recent layout update, there's links there. You can also go to eBay and just search Class 1 Custom, no spaces or anything. That is my eBay page. So let me think about what to do here. I'm going to set the camera up top and just bear with me as I move things around. I think you guys are probably going to be best if you're right about here. And let me see. I might move you guys around, but I'll get talking here in a second. We're going to work on doing a bit of scenery up there. I'll move you around, so just give me a second. All right. So let me explain really quick what we're doing here. All of my scenery, especially on the upper level, starts as this paper substructure you see here. So this is just really some like industrial scale construction paper, essentially. It's rosin paper would be another good option. I've seen people use that, and that's what I was looking for, but they have construction paper at Lowe's and Home Depot, or sorry, this is called painter's paper, and it comes in rolls like what you see there. And what I have is just this straight edge basically that I use to cut it off. Look at that awesome mess I've created. Anyway, this all starts with profile board, so I'll just take random scrap pieces of cardboard. You see it looks pretty ugly along the backdrop, but I will cut out and create the profile in cardboard and sort of glue that flat to the wall. That way we have a bit of a lip up along the wall to glue to, and that creates a really nice seal with the wall so that there's no gap or shadows or anything like that. And then I put a few profiles in between as well, just to give it a bit of rigidity. And I could probably put a couple more in there, so I'm not sure if I will. Here's what I wind up doing in areas where there's like quite a bit of structure, so maybe not there, but other places, like I'll find it. Like this right here has a lot of structure under it. I will patch up the edges and stuff with some sort of plaster compound, like 3M patch plus primer, or Sculptamold, something like that, just to like fill in the edges. But there are some places where I don't do like a full layer of plaster or anything like that because it holds up well enough. There are other areas though where it's pretty flimsy, and I wouldn't want to just put scenery right on top of that. So that's just to say that I use the plaster stuff sparingly. I don't feel like you have to coat everything in plaster or Sculptamold, just what's needed. So some of this has some really good structure to it. If I leave that big gap there, I'm probably going to have to go over that with some Sculptamold or something. So anyway, just for the sake of time, I'm going to cut off a piece of our painter's paper there. I've got my hot glue gun over here, which is my main tool. And then, yeah, so Carl, I'm using just a hot glue gun, pretty simple. And I'll just run some beads along the back edge, and I'll probably cut out a few pieces of paper to slap on there, and it'll start to take shape. But of course we can start to change the shape if we need to with something like Sculptamold. But anyway, let me just get this little bit up here. We're probably not going to touch up around the tunnel portal because I don't want to really get too much over here before I get the actual tunnel portal. This is really a placeholder, so I've kept this pretty open here. But we'll pull a bit up there. So anyway, I'll try to answer you guys' questions, but I'm just going to get to work here. Hopefully this takes like 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get to running some trains. So oh, good Lord. All right. Good deal. So I'll roughly measure the area just so I know like how big of a piece to cut. And I'll usually cut something that's a little smaller than the whole area I need to do. So about 2 feet. We're probably only going to need, what is that? I don't know, 10 inches, foot or so. Okay. It helps too, once you have a piece, you can see it's sort of just all curled up like that, which is annoying. So I'll just sort of bend it the opposite way and just sort of crumple it up, and that gives it a bit more free form. Oh, son of a bitch. Yeah. Well, the cord's not long enough. We're going to grab extension cord. Yeah, nothing really works out when you're doing it in front of people. So, for those of you who are listening, I'll generally start with one plane. So like if I have something at a corner here, or really any piece of landscape I need to do, since I'm using a two-dimensional sheet, I can't glue along both sides because then it won't work out here when it starts to curl down. So I'll just work with one side here. I'm probably just going to glue along this edge here, glue that in place, and then form it this way. And then that'll leave the back that still needs to be glued because this is going to want to pull away from the wall. I'll come in with a second sheet and probably a third over here. Also, it helps if you're doing cardboard along the edge to get sort of like thick cardboard. I'm just using one piece of thin cardboard, so it's kind of a pain to glue along the back edge. But I was smart in other areas and I actually like double stacked the cardboard profile, which makes it a lot easier. But anyway, it's still doable. I lied. I think I am going to glue this back here. To Canadian Railroader 11, he asked if I've ever used Woodland Scenic Shaper Sheet. I have not. The first time I saw it was for the Model Railroader Canadian Canyons project, and it looks like it's pretty cool stuff. I don't use it. I mean, I guess it could come in handy if you're doing like rock formations, want to do quick and easy. But I could imagine that would start to stack up in terms of price if you're doing a lot of scenery like this. So what I really like about this method, and I forgot to say why I do it this way instead of foam, I actually really like foam. I probably prefer it to this just because it's fun to carve stuff and watch it take shape. But this is really easy and you get some really natural looking landforms because you're taking big sheets and sort of draping it over a large area. You can kind of screw up foam scenery if you make it like too sculpted and you got weird angles in it. So that's one advantage. It's also a lot cheaper. Like I've had this big roll of paper for, oh, I thought I was in the frame, my bad. But I've had this huge roll of paper for a long time. So basically all this substructure scenery is costing me $0. But a big sheet of insulation foam might cost you like 35 bucks. Unless you can get it for free somehow, which would be cool. For some people it's cheaper, it just depends on where you are. Is the video frozen? Can someone tell me? Why am I so stupid? Oh, sorry about that. I figured it out. Oh, good lord, sorry. I had to get a charger. So, let's see. I don't know where to put you guys. This is so weird. Okie dokie, here we go. All right. Yeah, the cardboard strips works too for, like if you just wanted to make a lattice, you could do the same thing with paper. I just find it's quicker just to make profiles, and it's sort of fun to watch it take shape. Just with the profile boards, and then it's really easy to drape the paper over it. And the profile boards have a bit more strength to them. But I'm really dumb, and for whatever reason I thought I should glue this corner before I glued it to the profile board, because everybody's watching, I guess. I don't know, man. So, gotta cut this so I can glue it to the profile board. Where's my X-Acto blade? It's the pressure, it got to me. quick question. Has anyone here used RailPro? And if so, are you guys a fan? I'm just curious. I feel like everyone I've ever talked to loves RailPro and thinks that everybody should switch. So I'm just curious if anyone's had any experience with that, what you think. I like the stability of DCC, especially the lock sound and ESU systems. I like the recordings, but RailPro seems sort of like the future of digital control, and it's really easy to consist and stuff. So. So anyway, you can see there just how it changed a little bit. I mean, I still have a few like gaps and bumps in a few places. So normally I would refine that a bit more, but you guys get the gist, and that was really the main point here. I just wanted to show you how I do that and roughly how quick it is. So now that's up a little more, and you can imagine we'll also have trees up in the corner, so that'll give it a bit more height yet still. Of course, I'm leaving this open, like I'm not finishing this because this is just like a cut up box for a tunnel portal, just a placeholder. And eventually I will get an actual tunnel portal as well as tunnel liners too. And I still haven't figured out where I'm going to get those from, but I have some ideas. So anyway, then the next steps for this, because someone had asked how the paper holds up. This isn't all I do, this is just how I get the substructure. So in most places, I'll go over this with, well actually in all places, I paint this with wood glue. So all the paper you see, I'll go over with some wood glue. And what that does is it pretty much waterproofs it, and then it also gives it a bit of stiffness. And then in areas where there's a ton of support, like right here, this is like really strong just because there's a bunch of profile boards in there. In those locations, I'm not going to probably put any plaster or sculpt mold over that, but other areas that are more flimsy, like this section I just put up here, there wasn't a ton of support on it. It was kind of a weird piece because we already had some scenery around it, so it was tough to get well-fitting profile boards up there. So anyway, this doesn't have a ton of structure. I mean, it's pretty firm, but I'll go over that with either patch plus primer, which is this 3M material I like to use, or some Sculpt-A-Mold would do as well. But I do that after I paint it in wood glue. And as I said, in a lot of places, if you feel comfortable with it, the wood glue is enough. Some people will cringe at this because everyone likes to do things thoroughly, as do I, but I only like to do as much as is necessary. So this whole thing back here, I did this with the same method you just saw. Once that was done, I then glued it with some wood glue, and it actually had quite a bit of support under it with the profile boards. So I wanted to test this small little section here to see if I could get away with not putting Sculpt-A-Mold or plaster on it, and it's perfectly fine. I did the dirt on top. You can see the dirt in there just like I've done everywhere else. Then the grass, and there's no reason that it could get damaged. Even if I pressed in it, it's fine. I tested with the dirt on top of it. None of the dirt flakes away or anything like that. So having a bit of flexibility in there is all right, because I can imagine no possible way where that could move or anything unless I like put my elbow in it, which would just be stupid. So anyway. All right, so I guess we'll probably run some trains now. And yeah, just to clarify, I'll probably shape this area a little more. You can see this is sort of concave here. I do like this little shelf, and then anywhere where there's like a seam, I'll either put tape over that and then plaster, or if it's like a really tight-fitting seam, I'll just put some plaster over that to smooth it out. And then if I need to texture any areas, I'll do that with Sculpt-A-Mold. I'll probably have some rock faces in here, which is my intent. There's a sort of the outside of the upper horseshoe curve on Crawford. There's a couple areas where there's some pretty natural looking rock faces, so that's what I plan on doing sort of in that wedge there. So that is that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, but let us run some trains unless you guys have any other questions that you'd like me to show you. So let me put a few things away here and make sure we don't have any stray glue strands, because hot glue guns like to do that. So just let me figure this out. I gotta plug you guys in. Here's the charging cord. Sorry for the movement. Oh, jeez. Here's a screen and a screen and a screen. Ha ha ha. Crazy. Oh. I'm just gonna set you guys here. I gotta clean up a bit. I don't know where else to put you. maybe, don't look at my ugly face. Put you there-ish. All right. So let me clean up. And by clean up, I mean just put things on the floor. Hold up. Someone asked. Shoot, sorry. Getting oriented here. Blah, blah, blah. Wood tunnel portal or concrete? I'm doing the pressed concrete tunnel portal, like the portals that are formed by the pressed wood boards, so it sort of has like a, I don't know. I think you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the company that makes them, but they have a pretty good like pressed concrete looking one. So it's not all smooth. It has some texture to it. But that's generally what they did on the tunnel at Belmont, Nebraska, which is basically what I'm modeling. So I gotta find it. But I'll leave that for another time. And then, yeah, Carl asked about the soldering. I haven't finished all the soldering. Like, I actually have to drop quite a few feeders yet around the layout, especially on like the upper siding up there. So some of the sections, at least operationally, are still sort of in the works. But anywhere where I like started some scenery, that's all done. So like I'm not getting ahead of myself. It's just there's some things that need to get touched up. I don't solder every single joint because I want there to be some room for movement, but generally along the curves, which is what I just showed you, those aren't soldered, but I will need to because there's a tendency in the curves, at least, for the joints to kink a little bit. So along the big curve at the end of the peninsula there, those are all soldered so that they're like super smooth and there's no kink at all. But I still have to do the ones that you guys are sitting on right now. Okay. God, so much crap. I get rid of all that. All right. Damn it. I think the video froze again. Video's good? Sorry about that. That must be on my end. I have the video pulled up here, but it's all frozen. So anyway, hello, Greg, again. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, for sure. I learned about the track straightening. I mean, it seems pretty intuitive, but even when you have the track in place and it looks like you have the perfect curve, and then you solder it and then let it go, sometimes it forms a kink again. So I've made sure, especially when I did these are some of my better soldering joints up along here, which is probably pretty important considering how close it is to the edge. But anyway, these I made sure were super straight and held them with pliers and pinned them in place. So those are really good. And generally elsewhere, I don't have too tight of a radius, so all the soldering joints I tried to hold as straight as possible, and I don't really have any kinking issues. So yeah, good idea. And I haven't really done the staggered joints. I did that a few places, like in the staging room, but honestly, I just got lazy. So it's just easier to do it this way and just make sure the joints are straight. So yeah, guys, let me know if the video is working. I know a couple people did, but I just want to make sure it's good for everyone. Let's go run some trains now. I really only have 2 I can do because I've been selling some things. In fact, as this video got going, somebody bought this boxcar, so that's pretty cool. But we have 2 options here. The coal train in the background or the stack train first. Someone had requested that I do a stack train, or sorry, the coal train with a DPU on the end. So we got our ST70 Mac back there, and we'll try that. Let me fire things up here. It sounds like people are having some video trouble, so I'll set you guys down. Let's reload this. Oh no, we're good. We're good. Okay. Load this guy. Let's go ahead with the coal train first here, just cause. And we have got. Sorry for the panning. Got a city rail locomotive here on the head end. See if the track's at all clean here. I didn't have as much time this week to get prepared, unfortunately, but We'll have fun nonetheless. Yeah, City Rail. City Rail is an Intermountain locomotive. Trailing unit there is Walther's. The DPU here is a Kato SD70 Mac with the high headlight, which I really like. And I didn't have time to set up the DPU lighting, so anyway. Oh, sorry. we got the stack train leaving the yard too, so we will stage a meet somewhere. Layout room is, sorry about that. I feel like the shakiness in the live stream just really sucks, so I apologize. I try to make it as smooth as possible. But layout room is room back there. So. And normally I would use helpers. I just don't have two throttles right now, so I don't have helpers on the rear end. And what you can't see is right now there's actually, the stack train is underneath here right now, heading up grade. Well, I guess you could see that if I showed it to you, but there's the stack train below, coal train up above. And the grade in this area is between like 2 and 2.5%, which is more than the actual Crawford Hill, but we just had to work with the restrictions of the room. So you can see this will be a pretty cool shot when we get that road finished. It really gives the top of the grade here a bit of interest. Oh, hold. Sorry about the interruption. This happens sometimes with the cab control system, which sort of annoys me, but I haven't done the, there's a software update for it, but what happened was I actually had some locomotives sitting in the yard, and for whatever reason, they just took off on their own, which is obviously no good. And then the DPU on the rear of my coal train decided to just push at 100% throttle, even though I didn't change anything with this train. So I shut off track power. I don't know why that happens, but it does occasionally. It might have something to do with the Digitrax decoder I have in the DPU, because for whatever reason it happens with Digitrax decoders. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is. I don't know why. Anyway, let us get started up here again. Now this is an area where I don't have a lot of good feeders yet. Actually, if any, past the turnout there. So it's miraculous that things actually run well up here. But I will get feeders in here for every section of flex track, and then we should be golden. Oh. So here we go. I'm going to stop this train up here at the top of the grade. And then we'll have this sit here. It'll take off in a second. I think I'm just going to use the tail end here as the DPU. We'll just use that as our power on the way down. So you don't see it often, but sometimes you see a 1x2 power distribution. Again, usually not on Crawford Hill, but it happens. So there we go. Yeah, and Carl talked about the feeders every section of flex track. Honestly, in a lot of places I haven't done that. I just plan to up here. I don't really know why, but this was my newest section of track, and for whatever reason I take pride in it. And I mean, I take pride in all the layout, but I just want this to be just bulletproof, if you know what I mean. So this is a pretty good construction up here. As is, I'll do it. So here's our train. You can see it's parked there through the tunnel portal. And now it actually looks different. See, we worked on that hill back there, so that's pretty cool to see that for the first time. And then it's over here. It's parked right there. So that's as far as I've pulled it in. I obviously have a lot more space, and when I finish the rest of the bench work up here, it'll curve around the corner here and go as far as like where you see those tracks there. We'll have plenty of room up here to pull a train in. Most of it at least. But right now I've just stopped here at the top of the grade. Sorry for the buffering, everyone. I don't know what's up. But what I do have here is our stack train. So let me get this guy moving, and then we'll get a meet going here in Crawford. So I'll set you guys here, and let me get the stack train moving. Someone asked how many staging tracks I plan to have. I don't remember how many fit up there. I think I'll wind up doing like 6 or something like that. They're not going to be big staging tracks. As you can see, it's a pretty small room, so I won't be able to run full trains in there necessarily, but I'll be able to cut them up and have them if necessary. And there's plenty of operating room up here, so the combination of the top of the grade here plus our staging tracks means we'll have plenty of opportunity to do some fun operations and get trains to the top of the grade and back down again. Yeah, I gotta move some cars here. Just a second, guys. I just gotta move some stuff. That's weird, so I have a meet here somehow. Or a coal train up here. We'll just pretend like this guy got recycled. There's a new train. We'll head it down the grade now. had that yet. So but yeah, they're done pretty well. There are actually 3 different decoders as well, so I'm surprised that these 3 run well together. It helps that the Kato locomotive has a Digitrax decoder. They have a really good load compensation um, physics engine, or whatever you want to call it, I think, because you can really turn it down. So the motor responds much more to the train weight and what the other locomotives are doing. So I really like the Digitrax decoders for that reason. Their sound is terrible, but whatever. Don't want to miss the meat. There's our train going through the crossover. All right. Let's get our stack train rolling up the grade now. So you guys can probably imagine how cool this would look without the giant mess on the floor, but still pretty fun to have two trains rolling through here. Yeah, 2, 5, and 6. I couldn't get the 3-point speed curve to work on the Scale Trains -9. I don't know if that's a new I don't know if that's new to the version 5 loc sound decoder or if it's just a glitch, but yeah, I couldn't get it to program or to change, so I just changed the CVs on the tier 4 to fit as best as I could. So guys, that probably wraps it up. Uh, we've gone from, didn't have the manifest out today because a few cars. Still have a pretty sizable train, but I've been weathering and selling stuff and then repurchasing and trying to make a bit of money. End up making some money if I just purchase cars and resell them. Some custom work helps too. So anyway, that's why we didn't have the manifest today. Just a reminder that these cars right here are for sale on eBay. This one will be soon. And at the beginning, this one was. This has actually been sold since we've done the live stream. And then this guy's for sale as well. Got to see the coal train with the DPU on it, so that was pretty cool. And then our stack train was running well too. So someday here I'll have to get some helper operations going with locomotives actually pushing trains up the grade from our helper pocket like we're supposed to do. I just haven't done it yet because it's kind of hard to do with the camera in one hand and throttle in the other. I've actually been having some troubles with my Scale Trains Tier 4 unit here. As I mentioned last time, I think one of the pickup wires on one of the trucks detached, so it's not running too well. So I'll have to fix that. That's why we didn't see that today. And then this thing is just always a problem. So if you guys know of any place to get some replacement trucks other than Athearn, I know I can contact Athearn and they might get them for me, but if you see any of these HT, actually no, they aren't the HTCR, they're the HTSC trucks. I don't really care though, honestly. I need to get some new trucks for that. So if you guys see any, let me know. But again, yeah, that's all there is. You guys have any final questions? Feel free to ask those right now. I'll hang out here for a couple minutes, but I think I'm gonna wrap up running trains. I don't have any more power up here to run a train back down the grade. So I think this is better than last time though. We actually got to see two trains running at one time and they met over there in Crawford. So All right, not really getting any more questions here. So, actually one here, someone said, can you clean the train gears? I've actually done that before. I took apart that 9131 ST70 ACE locomotive, and I've taken it apart like 3 or 4 times now, cleaned everything, and it just does not run well. So there's some weird gremlin in there that I can't figure out for whatever reason. So I don't know. It's terrible. So, and I know the Keep Alive works. And I think Stan asked me if I have a programming track to program and reset decoders. I do have one. It's down there. I use it sometimes. I'm not sure. I think the new ESU cab control software update on the main that's the one thing I haven't liked so far with the ESU lock sound program is control system is that I can't program on the main, which is sort of a pain. The NCE system was better in that regard. But next Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, like usual, we'll do the same thing with trains running if we get to nothing else. If you guys have any other questions or ideas, feel free to message me or comment on any of the videos. We can do something different next time as well. So I'll always be happy to run trains, but if we want to take a look at something else, just let me know. Like this time we looked at the hill there in the corner. So little tutorial there. But again, I'll be here next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, hopefully with fewer connection problems. So